Welcome to the 12 Days of Edition Wars. In this year's series, we will be taking a deep dive into the iconic monsters of D&D. On this, the third day of Edition Wars, my DM gave to me some lovely, oozy, gelatinous cubey. And I am your host, Sam Dillon, here with my co-host, Brandis. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Excellent. So, as mentioned, we are going to be talking about the ever so oozy, ever so delicious gelatinous cube. The Gelatinous Cube has been in the game since the very, very early days, but not quite. So here's the thing. In original D&D, there were 3 books in the little box, and the second book was, the monster book. And in the monster table, where it presents the book, the monsters in the book, there is no entry for Gelatinous Cube.
Hmm.
However, if you go to the end of the descriptions, so the way that this is laid out, as we've seen in the last couple of episodes, is there's a table with all of the stats, and then after that are listings of descriptions and some extra information that you might want to have as a DM to run the game. And at the end of the list of creatures is an entry for other monsters. And it says there is no practical limitation to the variety of monsters possible. In the campaigns associated with the playtesting of these rules, there have either appeared or been postulated such creatures as, and it lists titans, cyclops, juggernauts, living statues, salamanders, and then there's a huge piece of art of like a giant gorilla face. And then on the very next page, gelatinous cubes. And here's what it says about them. It says underground creatures of near complete transparency which fit exactly the typical corridor of a dungeon. Metal objects absorbed into them would be visible thereafter within their body. These monsters would be difficult to harm and have a large number of hit dice. So, it was an idea, with no stats associated with it. By the way, it also ends that section of other creatures with robots, golems, and androids, which also did not have stats in this
So,
edition.
so is it kind of weird to feel like that's a teaser for the next book?
Well, right. So the very next book, Supplement 1, Greyhawk, actually has gelatinous cubes in it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
It has stats. So the Monsters and Treasure section of the Greyhawk supplement does actually have in the monster table, it has gelatinous cubes. It tells you they are number appearing as 1, their armor class is 8, and then their movement, hit dice, and percentage chance in lair. Movement is 6, hit dice is 4. So they're pretty large creatures. And then and then under the treasure, there's just an asterisk, which says, see the paragraph regarding this monster for possible treasure. So we'll get to that in a second. But here's what it says in the gelatinous cube section of the Greyhawk supplement. It says, as the name implies, these monsters are shaped very much like cubes, typically being about 10 feet per side so as to be able to sweep clean of all living materials, as well as dead cells, the floor and walls of the labyrinthine dungeon passages. In other words, same size as a dungeon passageway. Any flesh which comes in contact with a gelatinous cube becomes anesthetized unless a saving throw versus paralyzation is made. The touch causes 2 to 8 hit points of damage, so 2d4, and the creature seeks to dissolve and devour the flesh. The creatures are subject to normal weapons and fire, but lightning, cold, paralyzation, fear, and polymorph attacks do not harm them. Many cubes have rich treasures within their semi-transparent bodies, for they pick up metallic and otherwise non-digestible objects in their rounds, and those items often remain within the body for long periods of time before being redeposited. So, same kind of idea, a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Gives you kind of something to give in terms of lore for this. It also does tell you that you get paralyzed and you take damage, and that while you are paralyzed, they are going to try to eat you. But there's still not much there, right?
I mean, if you've got hit points and armor class and damage, I mean, you're like nonsense all the way there, bud.
Well,
you
sure.
know?
Yeah, sure. But in terms of, yeah, so yes, you're correct. You have all the stats you need, but it needs some fleshing out. So Gelatinous Cube in Holmes Basic. Now remember, and I keep saying this, but I'm going to say it every time, folks. Holmes Basic was meant to take you for the first three levels, and then it tells you go over to AD&D after that, right? So this is meant to just carry on the OD&D and be the sort of bridge from OD&D to AD&D. So Gelatinous Cube in Holmes Basic moves 60 feet per turn. That's the same as it was before. 4 hit dice, same. Armor class 8, it's the same. Treasure type variable because it's dependent on what it's been eating. Has 1 attack, does 2 to 8 points of damage. All that's the same. Does it give us any difference in the description? Well, it says they're shaped like cubes, 10 feet or so on a side. They move through the rooms and quarters of the dungeons. They sweep them clean of all living and dead material. In the process, they may pick up undigestible items like gold and gems and carry them within their body. Flesh that comes into contact with the cube is anesthetized unless a saving throw against paralysis is made. The touch of the cube causes 2 to 8 points of damage. The creature seeks to devour the victim. The gelatinous cube is subject to fire and normal weapons, but not cold, lightning, or most. So it's the same. It's exactly the same. It has not changed. Okay? And then we get to BX. Gelatinous cube in BX. Armor class 8. Same as it was before. Hit dice 4, same as it was. Movement's the same, attacks are the same, damage is the same, number appearing is the same. Now we know what its save is. It saves as a second level fighter. It now has a treasure type as well, treasure type 5, and it has an
Oh, is
alignment,
that
which is neutral.
is treasure types are numbered? No, that's treasure
Well,
type V.
it's a letter. It's type V. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in Roman numeral mode. So yes, no,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. It's treasure
Sorry.
type V. And treasure type V is basically it's like a 10% chance of a few electrum pieces and a 10% chance of a few silver pieces and a 5% chance of a few gold pieces. It's like that. That it's a
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
low level of treasure. It's not even worth really it's not a treasure hoard, right? Um
Hmm.
and here's what it says. It's the same 10 feet on a side, clear jelly, shaped like cubes, near transparent. Here we get something new though about that near transparency. It says they surprise on a roll of 1 to 4 on a d6, which makes
Hmm.
sense because in BX you would roll, and if you're surprised, then that has an effect on the group because you're rolling side initiative, right? So it's 1d6 roll determines your surprise and initiative for your whole entire group.
Right.
They move through rooms and corridors. They sweep halls clean. All this is basically the same. 2d4 points of damage. Successful hit will paralyze the victim unless save versus paralysis is made. So now they're actually saying paralyze. Before, you'll notice it said the save is versus paralysis, but it says they anesthetize their victim. Here it
Yeah.
specifically says you're paralyzed.
So I do sort of miss the anesthetized thing because that
Mm-hmm.
makes for such a like story building note
Mm-hmm.
of like,
Right.
yeah, we absolutely harvest gelatinous cubes
Yep.
and just really control skin contact for
Right.
anesthesia. That's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
weird, but
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Oh
go
yeah, it
on.
has a use for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So it builds this out just a little bit more as well. It tells you that any attack on a paralyzed victim automatically hits, so you don't even need to roll to attack, you just roll damage. The paralysis of the quote normal type, with that's a BX way of saying that it lasts 2 to 8 turns.
Mhm.
Because remember, it didn't have a duration previously, right? And in
Right.
BX they now put a duration on paralyzing effects.
Yep.
And it reminds you that a cure light wound spell will cure that or remove that paralysis. And it still retains its damage immunities. It can be harmed by fire and regular weapons, but not cold or lightning. So it's growing in the knowledge around it, and it's getting more specific about how it is presenting things. When we get to the BECME basic rules, so here's the gelatinous cube in the BECME, Frank Mincer red box. Okay. Same armor class of 8, same hit dice of 4, same movement, 1 attack, same damage, plus the paralyzation. Now the number of peering is 1, unless you're in a lair where there's possibly up to 4 of them. Saves as fighter level 2, same as the BX. Morale is the same. Treasure type V, same. Alignment's the same. And basically, the description is the same. It talks about the surprise. It talks about the fact that things that it can't dissolve get stuck in its body. It talks about it attacks. Now it actually adds something. It will attack any living creature it encounters. Talks about the paralysis. It talks about automatically hitting any paralyzed creature. It talks about how long it lasts. It talks about its damage immunities. And then it adds something about the lair. It says the lair of these strange monsters may contain 1 to 4 cubes, each with treasure type V, but usually with no additional treasure. If you just to highlight this point, let's take a look at treasure type V real quick. Treasure type V means there's no copper, a 10% chance of having up to 100 pieces of silver, a
Ooh.
5% chance of having up to 100 pieces of electrum,
Ooh.
a 10% chance of having up to 100 pieces of gold, and a 5% chance of having up to 100 pieces of platinum. No jewelry, no gems, a 10% chance of having 1 to 4 pieces of jewelry, and a 5% chance of having one magic item in the creature.
Okay,
So,
so a quick question, and
mhm,
I'm asking this out of genuine ignorance.
mhm,
Um, Ignorant as ditch water. Um, when you
yes,
are rolling this,
mhm,
is this one roll for silver, one roll for electrum, one roll for gold, one roll for
yes,
platinum? You're okay.
right,
You're
yeah.
rolling
So,
percentile
right,
dice
so,
for
yeah,
each
so
column separately. Okay.
right. So what I would do is if let's say the party's about to meet, if I know there's a gelatinous cube there, I'm going to roll this beforehand because if this stuff is there, it means it's in the body and they could see it. So
Yeah.
I'm rolling a percentage dice, and if I roll a 10 or lower, I have to roll another percentage dice to figure out how many pieces of silver are in there.
Yeah.
If I roll more than 10, there's no silver. Then I
Yeah.
roll percentage dice, and if I roll 5 or less, there's some electrum, and if I roll more than 5, there's no electrum. Then I
Mhm.
roll percentage dice again, 10%, right? And I do that the whole time, right?
And that
For
is
for
a
every
lot of
entry.
chance at
Yeah.
not much.
A lot of chance at not much because it's 10%, 5%, 10%, 5%, 10%, 5%, right? So
Whoa.
there's not much, there's not
I
much
mean,
chance of anything
the
in
one
here.
nice thing about that is that it's all rounded off to things divisible by five,
Hmm.
so you can handle it with a D20 awful fast.
Yeah, you could. Sure.
Like,
But if you were actually playing Vecmi or BX, like you
yeah,
would just roll these percentages, it'd be no big deal,
sure.
right?
I guess for me, there's something of like, oh, I rolled a '06 on pieces of Electrum
Right.
that is sort of also close, that feels kind of
Yeah.
worse than rolling
Right.
a 2 on a D20.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know why
right.
that is, but it
Yeah, no,
does.
yeah, yeah. The granularity of missing by 1% is like, you got to
Yeah.
be kidding me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's only Electrum anyway. It's not even like it's not even
Right.
like something great. And that if you rolled a 6 on the magic item, that's a sad thing,
Yeah,
right?
f
But
fine, right? It's
yeah.
what in your mind does the layer of 4 gelatinous cubes look like? What is that
I'm
in a
I'm
dungeon?
yeah, I'm assuming it is a place that they go
Like,
where they could mate and not be disturbed, right? Although we're going to find out something about their mating rituals later.
I'm already
Um,
disturbed, but I don't know what to tell
yeah,
you.
so I know, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that I don't think these things, to be fair, I've never thought of their lair, right? Like I don't think of
Right,
them. They're not layering creatures. They
right.
they literally roam the dungeon at all times.
Well,
Um,
like,
it,
what if there's a gelatinous extrusion machine and that's their layer, and it
mhm,
just chops into and off every 10 feet that's extruded?
yeah,
That would,
yeah.
I mean, imagine running into that in the dungeon. You have questions now.
I mean, perhaps that's one of the mad machines of Lum.
Right. Yeah.
He would have to be mad in order to make that. Yeah, that's crazy. So let's take a look at the Rules Cyclopedia's entry real quick.
Yeah.
The only reason we want to look, everything is exactly the same in terms of stats, except it tells you, it doesn't tell you a layer. So that's one of the reasons I want to look at it. So the layer has
Mm,
0. There is no
mm,
layer.
yeah,
So BECME in the basic book had a layer entry. This doesn't have a layer. It just says number appearing 1. Also, it gives you a specific intelligence of 0, which is
sure.
new.
That's
And
that's about fair.
yeah, and it provides a monster type for you, and that is
Um,
common.
what
Um,
is the parenthetical L next to hit dice? What is that?
Large. It's a large creature.
Okay, that seems like a weird place to store that, but okay, sure,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
whatever.
Yes, you are correct. I don't know why. Uh, I think the reason is because of this last note here. Halflings have a defensive bonus against all creatures that are large.
Hmm.
So they put it right in the hit die. It's like it's right in the armor class hit die move and attack section, right? So that, it's easy to find. It's easy to see. I agree it's weird to be in the hit dice, but anyway. And then it also gives you a terrain down here.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it tells you what I mentioned a second ago about how they reproduce. So it says a gelatinous cube may be harmed by fire and weapons, but not by cold or lightning. The lair of these strange monsters may contain 1d4 cubes. See, that's a leftover from the book, even though it says 0 in the number appearing in the
Yep,
lair in the entry, right? So they
yep,
forgot that's like a typo. It's a typographical error.
yeah.
Um, and then it says the lair will not have any young gelatinous cubes. Adults split into two fully grown cubes. So they
Mm.
don't mate, they just
Bud.
go through mitosis and whoop,
Hmm.
and then there's a whole full size one next to it. So here's why I mentioned this, because you asked about the layer. So the layer would be, I'm assuming that this process must take some amount of time. The layer would be where the creature goes, where it feels safe enough that it could do this process of budding off, splitting off into two fully grown adults without being interrupted. Because
So,
I would
so
assume that that would be uh, a more vulnerable time in its life.
so I offer this not to argue with you, but
Hmm.
just to question what it honestly has as a concept of safety versus danger.
Oh, sure. I mean, it has a
Does it have a
zero
safety drive,
intelligence. Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I would assume so. Okay, I would
Like,
assume that every creature that is alive has a safety drive.
okay, okay. Like,
Otherwise, they would no longer exist because they would just all constantly put themselves in a position where they are not going to be alive anymore.
right. I think that it's sort of aggression drive in the face of potentially high level PCs. Sort of, it isn't
Right.
able to recognize potency the
Hmm.
way, for example, a wild animal might. It doesn't recognize a threat display, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
And like, I'm not trying to argue with
Sure.
you. I'm just sort of trying
Yeah.
to imagine this
Hmm.
out in my own
Right.
mind and conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So you bring up an interesting point, but I mean, but so number one, this is fantasy, right? So we're
for sure.
already admitting that there are some creatures that just don't make sense, right? We sometimes apply a sight characteristic to a creature that doesn't have eyes or any way to have eyes, right? So we would
Yeah.
say, oh, that gargoyle sees this person, except a gargoyle, if it's made of stone, it cannot see, right? But
Sure, but I mean,
right?
every gargoyle that is ever made is shaped to have something
Hmm.
representing eyes.
Sure,
That's like a super basic,
sure.
like you go straight down the wall at Notre Dame. Yep, it got eyes, it got eyes, it got eyes. That,
Right, but it's still,
that's fine.
but my point is the eyes are not biological eyes that
Sure,
are set up to give you perception of sight. So what
sure,
I'm saying is if we can accept that sort of switcheroo, right? Then we can accept that a gelatinous cube, which has a functional intelligence of 0, still has a desire to live. And you're right, it cannot easily gauge how dangerous an an enemy might be or something that's going to attack, but it's also not necessarily just going to fall down a bottomless chasm and just keep falling, right? Like
sure, sure, sure. Yeah,
it's going to not do that. So it has some kind of self-preservation ability, right?
right. And I mean, we in real science know about single-celled organisms that
Hmm.
don't have what we recognize necessarily as a like threat avoidance system,
Hmm.
but at their scale, it absolutely works like that.
Sure.
And so, again, I'm not coming for this monster design. That's
Sure,
not
sure.
my point at all.
Yeah.
I'm interested in imagining like ways for it to be in sort of Gygaxian naturalism, right?
Right.
This is creative, curious engagement, not rejection.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I get where you're coming from. I just, this is the same problem you're going to have with any ooze, though,
Oh, for sure.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's just such a foreign, it's just such an absolute foreign idea, right?
Yeah,
That,
and you see some oozes in other editions, especially that do have a sapience, even if they don't
right,
have what we recognize as like a nervous system
right,
per se,
sure, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I assume that they're like mostly mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
I mean, sure. Uh,
I don't know, man. Like,
but I'm just like so. But to see, this is why, and so what's really interesting about this is we're having this conversation because it's about whether or not this creature has a lair. Because if it
yeah,
cannot
yeah, yeah.
determine the danger, the danger level of an environment, right? Then there's no reason for it to have a lair, right? But I submit that it would be able to know, like perhaps for it to bud out, it needs to be in a place that has walls on three sides
Actually,
so that
w
it buds out.
we do have one other key piece of evidence that it absolutely does not have threat aversion.
What's that?
Morale 12.
Well, sure, but yeah,
Like it,
but where I was going though was
yeah,
that
yeah.
it still might need a layer, but
Uh-huh.
not
Yeah.
for the reasons of safety, right? It might
Sure.
need
Yeah, yeah.
a wall on three sides
Mm.
so that it can then bud out. So then a layer
Yeah,
that
yeah.
had, say, four of these, like in the other entry, would
Uh-huh.
have like enclosed spaces that were 10 by 10 that the creature could fit itself into so that it could bud out and know that it could then grow back to its regular size, right?
Oh,
And
that's an interesting idea.
that's not
Yeah.
about threat.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Like that's kind of the shape, so sorry, of thing I was looking for. Yeah. That's
I
interesting.
mean, the thing is, like, so here's my question though. So since we're talking about this ridiculous thing,
Hmm.
okay, so it doesn't have threat aversion, and so, but they're all a roughly 10 by 10 by 10. Is it only 10 by 10 by 10 because that's the size of a standard dungeon? Or
Right.
is it actually anadromous and it just keeps growing until it dies?
I mean, it only says usually
Right.
in relation to that size, right? Uh, like I personally have no objection to sort of either take, as long as a GM is is consistent about it. Either it grows until it reaches a bound that it can't dissolve. That's pretty
Hmm.
interesting, right? So you
Hmm.
have just a gelatinous pit 50
Right.
feet deep, you know. You have to do calculus to find its, volume.
Right. But then does it grow
Or
up into the hallway though? And
yeah,
then
yeah,
start spreading along the hallway so that
like
it's not actually cube shaped,
right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe.
right?
Or I'm okay with uh there is some reason that it like tends to stop at 10 by 10 by 10 that has to do with structural integrity and
Right.
it
Yeah.
has like at some cellular level evolved to that structural
Hmm.
integrity and uh
Right. It makes
behaves
it that's
accordingly.
its most stable size, which is
Yeah.
where I was going with the layer thing and it
Yeah,
needing
yeah.
three sides, right? Or, you know, five sides of the cube to be contained so that it can extrude out or bud out or mitosis out, whatever by whatever method it uses to grow another fully sized cube and then split off. because if it knows that that's its size, that it goes to
Hmm.
its actual most stable position, right? Then what luck that humans tend to build 10 by 10 by 10
But yeah,
passageways.
like maybe it's actively seeking dead ends,
Right.
right? Because
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
a
could
dead
be.
end hallway is its perfect
Hmm.
situation.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, we don't need
Yeah.
to
No, yeah.
like,
No, no. Well, I mean, I find this totally fascinating, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on then to the 1E. So here's the 1E Gelatinous Cube. It's in the first monster manual, of course. Everything is basically the same. Still 4 hit dice, same movement, still same armor class. One attack, 2 to 8. It has paralyzation. Now it surprises on a 1 to 3, but that's because 1E has that weird segment type of initiative thing.
Hmm.
And it has no intelligence, same. Size is large, no psionic ability. And here's what it says. It says the gelatinous cube is one of the scavengers not uncommon in dungeons. Its cubic form is ideal for cleaning all living organisms as well as carrion from the floor and walls of underground passageways. Certain very large cubes are taller so as to be able to garner mosses and the like from ceilings as well. Gelatinous cubes are nearly transparent or difficult to see. They surprise on a 1 to 3. As these monsters travel about, they sweep up metallic and other items which are indigestible to them. These include treasure types J, K, L, M, N, Q, as well as a potion, dagger, or similar items. Such material will remain in the body of the gelatinous cube for several weeks before being cast out, thus deposited somewhere on the floor.
So that's also
So,
speaking to sort of the way like human bodies can like have a glass shard or something stuck in them and
right.
eventually
It
expel it.
gets extruded. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It mentions saving throw versus paralysis. The creature touched is now it's back to anesthetized. It uses that word again.
Hmm.
Anesthetized for 5 to 20 melee rounds. The cube then surrounds the victim, secretes digestive fluids, and digests a meal. Damage caused to opponents is due to the digestive secretions. Gelatinous cubes can be hit by all forms of weapons, and attacks by fire have normal effects. Cold will have no effect unless they fail their saving throw. So now they have to save, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And if they fail it, then they are slowed 50% and do only 1 to 4 hit points of damage. Electricity, fear, holding, paralyzation, polymorph, and sleep-based attacks have no effect. So the most interesting part here for me is well, if it can't digest the thing, eventually it deposits it on the floor of the dungeon, right?
Yeah, that definitely goes to sort of dungeon ecosystem. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, I like that because of the narrative that it introduces on how the hell did this object get here? Like,
Right,
that dude did not die anywhere near
right,
here. Why is
right.
it here? Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And
Yeah.
I certainly expect you to love it for being an ecology.
Oh yeah, of course. And I remember it in the game as a player finding occasionally these just absolutely most shiniest pieces of gold. But there's only two gold pieces there, right? It's the shiniest thing in the world. It's so clean. It's
Yeah,
like and it's like you're following a breadcrumb trail right into a gelatinous cube, right? And that's just a cool moment when you turn the corner and you're following. There's like every 10 or 15 feet, there's one or two little shiny coins, and then eventually at some point you look up and you see like a bone floating in midair, and you're like, oh my God, is that a skeleton? What the hell is going on? And then you realize, provided you didn't just walk right into the thing, that there's something there, and that thing is not suspended in midair, it's suspended in something else,
yeah,
which you don't want to also be suspended in.
yeah.
So
That's fantastic.
yeah. Yeah, it's a great thing. And the thing is, like, these things, you know, because they don't really have body parts, right? All you have to do is stay away from them and do damage to them, right? So they're only real, like the real scare here is you walk into it because you did not detect it.
Yep,
And it's not intelligent, so it's not actually leaving a trail of really shiny gold pieces for you to follow. That just happens to be a collateral effect that
yep,
occurs, right?
yep.
Um, so it's just very interesting to me, yeah, ecologically speaking, that's what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's also the situation where like, oh, you turned down the wrong hallway to try to get away from it. That
Hmm.
was its dead end. You
Right.
have nowhere to
Right.
go.
Yeah.
And so like you
Right.
can't keep kiting it, right?
Right. Or you go down, you're going down the hall, you reach a dead end, and you think, oh, I'm going to backtrack to where that alcove was, except you know what was in that alcove? That's where the cube was. And now when you passed it, it came out into the main hallway, and now you're stuck,
Yeah.
right? Like that's why it likes that dead end, because it can trap you there. But it's not smart. So it's more about it's seeking food, right? And your
Yeah.
food. So, So let's look at the evolution of it into second edition. So second edition is going to put this in the ooze, slime, and jelly category. So we've got subterranean climate and terrain, uncommon, solitary creature, any activity cycle. That means it's active day or night. It's an omnivore. It has no intelligence, incidental treasure. Alignment stayed the same. I think all the stats are the same. 8 armor class, movement 6, 4 hit dice. It's Thaco 17. That's about right.
Hmm.
1 attack, 2 to 8 damage. Yeah, so all of these look exactly the same. The XP value's quite a bit higher
Yeah,
than it was in Beckme.
I mean, of course that's gotten rescaled. Whatever.
Sure, sure. And then here's the image of it.
Yep.
So it's just a shield, a helmet, and a sword in a giant clear cube. And the description, though, we get a
The,
lot.
the
Remember, because the
the
monstrous
mattress
manual.
image that you just
Yeah, I know.
slid
Yeah,
past
that's
just always got me.
that's pretty. That's crystal ooze, though. That's not a
Yeah,
gelatinous
yeah, yeah,
cube.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's really funny. It does look like a mattress. As you recall, the Monstrous Manual gives a large description of everything, right? It gives you
Oh
description,
yeah.
it gives you combat, it gives you habitat. So we're going to get a big expansion here, except it's not as big as you might think. It's basically just a tiny expansion of everything that we knew before. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically it still mentions it's transparent, it's difficult to see, it absorbs things along the way. Now it does add something. Their sides glisten, tending to leave a slimy trail. They can't climb walls. They can't cling to ceilings, right? So it makes that point. But they do grow tall so that they can basically scrape all the sides of whatever environment they're in.
Hmm.
It's back to saying paralyzation as the save, but anesthetized. So the slime that is the coating that is making it glisten is actually anesthetizing slime. Say it's -3 on the surprise roll, so it's basically the same. All the same damage type immunities, slow to 50%. All right, so now we get to the habitat and society. Possessing no intelligence, gelatinous cubes live only for eating. They prefer well-traveled dungeons where there is always food to scavenge. They reproduce by budding, leaving clear rubbery cubes in dark corners or on heaps of trash. Young are not protected and are sometimes reabsorbed by the parent. So that is different from all the previous things, which all
Hmm.
said, or which any that mentioned it said, they just bud out and you get an adult, second adult. You don't get a young. There's no young. So in second edition, there's a young. And sometimes it eats its own young. It just reabsorbs
Hmm.
it. The treasure is carried inside, or it might leave it behind. Gelatinous Cube is sometimes encouraged to stay in a certain area for its scavenging abilities and is preferred over other jellies and oozes since its square shape does not allow it to slither under doors and into areas in which it is not desired.
Yeah, I love the idea of just okay, so like we put a like little 1 foot wall in the
Yeah,
hallway to
right.
constrain this thing,
And now
and
it's stuck.
that was good. But like we only
Yeah,
wanted it to make problems over there. We don't want a problem everywhere.
right. And this also tells you of a sneaky way to entrap it is just put a door there.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Yeah, suddenly they have young. So that's an interesting choice, right? And even though that's an interesting choice, it's still true that this thing basically has the same stats that it had from the very beginning. Okay. And now we're going to go to Monster Manual for third edition, 3.5 actually. So now we're going to see changes, right? Because of the structure of the game. So here is so the and this 3.5 monster manual is laid out a little bit weird too.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because it has the stats on this page for black pudding and elder black pudding, but it's kind of happening in the middle of the gelatinous cube entry. So we just need to make sure we just skip that, right? So here's the
So
gelatinous cube.
I want to briefly say how
Hmm.
very much of 5e and especially 2024 monster design is centered around not doing this. This layout
Right.
thing is
Yeah.
sort of one of the worst available sins of monster design. And in
Right.
fairness, it's a major impediment to ease of use.
Right. Yeah. So here's what we have. We have a large ooze, so that tells us size and type of monster.
Mhm.
Hit dice 4d10 plus 32. Its initiative is -5, so it's very slow. Its speed is 15 feet, which is a lot slower than it
That's
ever was in any previous listing. Its AC is now 4 instead of 8. Base attack +3, grapples +7. It has a slam attack +2 melee.
I mean, relative to overall AC scaling,
That's probably
4 and 8
similar.
are
Yeah.
both quite
The
bad.
same. Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
can
yeah. Right.
like 4 is substantially worse than unarmored human baseline. 8 is at
Yeah.
least not that, but it's quite
Right.
bad.
Yeah. It has a 10-foot reach.
Yep.
Oh no, sorry. It takes up 10 feet, but it has a 5-foot reach. Special attacks, acid, engulf, paralysis. Special qualities, blind sight, fits 60 feet. So see, there we go. Suddenly it can see 60 feet. Um, Immunity to electricity, ooze traits, and transparent. I guess I need to go back and look at those ooze traits. Underground, solitary, not very
So,
much treasure.
so core ooze traits, one of the most relevant is that it's going to be immune to sneak attacks and critical hits.
Yeah, so, yep, amorphous creatures, they live only to eat, inhabit underground areas.
So,
Oozes attack any creature
right.
they encounter. They lash out with pseudopods or simply engulf opponents with their bodies, which secrete acids. There's your blind sight. An ooze's entire body is a primitive sensory organ that can ascertain prey by scent and vibration.
Yep.
Yeah, so
And
I do
the
find.
actual ooze traits thing is going to be stored elsewhere in the book
Oh, is
because
it?
it's yeah.
I was thinking it would be under the ooze section. I love this description. This is like the flavor text. It's in italics. This creature looks like a thick wall of quivering, transparent protoplasm.
That's
So now it's
gross.
quivering.
That's gross. I mean, yeah, it's a jelly, right?
Yeah,
Like you got to be jelly because jam don't shake that way.
yeah,
You know. Anubis has the following features: 10-sided hit dice, base attack bonus to equal 3/4 of its hit dice, the same as a
yeah.
cleric.
That's here.
No good saving throws, skill points like you already listed. Traits: Anubis possesses the following traits unless otherwise noted in the creature's entry. Mindless. No intelligence score and immunity to all mind-affecting effects, charms, compulsions, phantasms, patterns, and morale effects. Blind, but have the blind sight special quality, with immunity to gaze attacks, visual effects, illusions, and other attack forms that rely on sight. Immunity to poison, sleep effects, paralysis, polymorph, and stunning. Some oozes have the ability to deal acid damage to objects. Blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
It tells you the damage scaling situation on that.
Right.
Not subject to critical hits or flanking. Proficient with its
Hmm.
natural weapons only. Proficient with no armor. Oozes eat and breathe but do not sleep.
Interesting.
Uh, and not being subject to critical hits also makes it not subject to sneak attack. And
Let's go.
one of the
Yeah.
big things to take away from that really is, like so many creature types, it is intended to be miserable for rogues.
Right. Hmm. Yeah. So the transparent means a DC 15 spot check is needed to notice one.
Mhm. Mhm. Which is replacing the whole surprise mechanic.
Right. And creatures who fail to notice the cube walk into it and walk into it are automatically engulfed. And
Brutal.
so engulfing says, although it moves slowly, a gelatinous cube can simply mow down larger or smaller creatures as a standard action. It cannot make a slam attack during a round in which it engulfs. The gelatinous cube merely has to move over the opponents, affecting as many as it can cover. Opponents can make opportunity attacks against the cube, but if they do so, they are not entitled to a saving throw. Those who do not attempt attacks of opportunity must succeed on a DC 13 reflex save or be engulfed. On a success, they're pushed back or pushed aside as the cube moves forward. Engulfed creatures are subject to the cube's paralysis and acid and are considered to be grappled and trapped within its body. The save DC is strength based and includes a +1 racial bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. And here again, there's a treasure line that specifies,
Yep.
you know, it's going to be pretty light on treasure. 1/10
Right.
coins,
Hmm.
50% goods, no non-metal or non-stone, 50% items, no non-metal or non-stone, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so
Very interesting.
it, it is a language update with very little uh, material change on TUI, right? It's
Hmm.
actually kind of astonishing how close it is
How close? Yeah.
if you do a lot of
Yeah.
other side-by-side comparison. It
Hmm.
all the way down to 4 hit dice, people. Like, come on.
Right. Well,
Uh,
and the only real thing, the only real difference is that it has to talk about engulf as an action,
yep,
right? And what the reflex save is, and then paralysis is a separate thing, so it has its own fortitude save
yep.
with a different DC, and it tells you how long the paralysis is and what the save DC is for the paralyzed creature being engulfed. Like there's all these little small 3E based things that have to be explained, but really, it actually is not that much different from the previous entries.
That's right. That's right.
This is a
Um,
pretty standard, very well done transfer of older edition characteristics and stats over to third edition.
yeah, I mean, it's like for the same reason that we're covering it on this very episode, uh, it is sort of one of these iconic D&D things.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that they felt like there wasn't a lot of call to change it. It was still accomplishing its core task pretty well,
Right. Right.
pretty good.
What's the CR on this? Oh, a 3.
3.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
Nope, that's I mean the real outlier is its 26 con, which they
Right.
needed, which is done that
Yeah.
way in part to uh put its hit points kind of where they want them, and also to
Hmm.
put the save DC on its paralysis where they want it. It's
Right.
arbitrary, but also not, and that's sort of one of the most essentially third ed things I can say.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It arbitrary, but not in sort of the inverse way of 5e monster design, where the hit points are whatever they want them to be, and the existence of hit dice is fairly arbitrary, but the stats are where they want them to be,
Right.
right? So
Right.
they'll want it to have like a 12 con for saving throw purposes and maybe DC scaling purposes or whatever, depending. Uh, but it might have, you know, 50 D4 hit dice if that's what they want it to have.
Right. Right.
Just
Yeah.
to get to the hit points that matter, right? They,
Right.
they don't they don't faff around with that from the other really much more mathematically annoying end.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you ready to go on to the fourth edition
I
version?
sure am. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So Gelatinous Cube also in the ooze category section.
I'm so sorry. I do have one last thing on 3.5. I
Yeah.
saw it
No,
just
no,
as you
let's do
turned the
it.
page.
Yeah.
Uh, it has advancement scaling. So this does posit a gelatinous cube larger than 10 by 10 by 10.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's explicit in how many hit dice it has to grow to get there.
Yeah. So here's your
And
improving. So
yeah,
it's got a D10 hit die, right?
yeah. But the monster entry talks about it getting up to 13 hit dice and becoming huge, or topping out at 24 hit dice. And I mean, 24 D10 hit points with 26 con is
Hmm.
an absolutely unholy number of hit points.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is just grinding that bastard down as you have to kite it all over the dungeon to
Right.
avoid its nonsense.
Now, this is not a situation where if you cleave this thing in half, it becomes two, right?
Right.
I mean, in terms of combat.
Right. That would be a unique split feature, which,
Okay.
as we now see, the gelatinous cube has never had.
Right. 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 Yeah. I was just making sure in third edition it didn't have it because
No,
I didn't know.
it's not
Yeah.
intrinsic in some way.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay, so let's take a look at fourth edition.
Yeah.
So, Gelatinous Cube in the ooze category, just like the previous. Very little lore to give us. They scour dungeon corridors and caves, digesting organic material they happen upon and expelling inorganic material after allowing it to pass through their translucent bodies. We see it's a level 5 elite brute, large natural beast, has 152 hit points, AC of 18. It's immune to gaze attacks, resists 10 acid. So here's the thing: if it slams you, you are immobilized, save ends. If it attacks you with engulf and you are immobilized, you are automatically hit, and that attack will then grab you and pull you into its space, where you then are dazed, and then you take 10 ongoing acid damage until you can escape. Creature that escapes can shift to a square of its choosing adjacent to the cube. The cube can move normally while creatures are engulfed within it. It is invisible until seen, which requires a DC 25 perception check, or until it attacks, which feels like a callback to old D&D's invisibility,
Hmm.
which you're
Hmm.
invisible till you attack. If you walk into it, you are automatically engulfed. So the engulfing does not do any damage. Oh, it does 10 ongoing acid damage, and
Yep.
you're dazed.
Yep.
Dazed is bad.
Dazed is bad.
Dazed is really bad.
Dazed, I think, takes you down to one of action, standard, minor or move. I think that's right.
You were correct. So dazed is bad, not as bad as stun
All right, and it's
or
not,
dominated, right?
and paralyzed isn't a thing in this edition.
Right,
It's immobilized, possibly with more stuff.
right. Yep, yep, exactly. So what's it say about tactics? So Gelatinous Cube scours dungeon corridors for food, attacking and engulfing whatever blunders into it. The lore is they are amorphous creatures with the barest hint of intelligence. They act instinctively and attack due to hunger or because something disturbed them. They use blind sight, tremor sense. The encounter group would be one ochre jelly and three orc raiders.
And that's sort of ooze lore collectively, not
Yeah, it's
just
collectively,
Gelatinous Cube.
yeah. Yeah, not much here. It's not over. It's a little bit of an underwhelming entry. So let's look at what the Monster Vault did
Well,
with it.
so I did want to like get into the fact that it's an elite brute and sort of what that
Hmm.
means. Like
Sure.
brute kind of means this is the hammer that you're
Right.
bringing down on the party.
Hmm.
A like 152 hit points is really a lot at
Yep.
level 5. It's a
Right.
lot of hit points. The AC of 18 is not that daunting. It's okay.
Hmm.
It's not that bad.
And because
So,
it's elite, it has an action point, which
that's right.
means it can slam you and immobilize you and then engulf
Yep.
in the same turn
Yep. We can only do
if it
that
uses an
once.
action point. Right. It can
But
only do
but
it once,
that
but
definitely means that it just waits till
right.
it hits something and
Right.
then
Yep.
slurps it right up.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I still feel it to be a tiny bit underwhelming,
No, I don't disagree with that.
but
Um,
as a level 5 elite, yeah, I don't know. I'm imagining level 5 PCs, and this thing is not gonna do much to them. Um,
mm. I mean, its damage is not astounding,
right,
especially for a brute where you tend to see a high damage total.
right,
Uh, it just 152 hit points means a lot of chances.
right. And I will say that the Monster Manual one, we all came to understand, did not have the greatest numbers in it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. They
so
had to
you know,
learn their own system,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, of course. So let's take a look at the Monster Vault then and see what they do with the cube, if anything. There's a lot more lore in the ooze section, right? Because it's
Well,
still the ooze section, so it includes green slime and ochre jelly and whatnot. And then here are the stats. It's still a level 5 elite brute,
mhm.
156 hit points. Its AC is a tiny bit smaller. What was its speed in the
The same.
last one?
But it
3.
gained
Yep.
climb.
Here at Games Climb, which is new. That's new to any edition. None of the other editions did it have climb.
Yeah,
In fact, it specifically called out that it doesn't have climb
yeah.
in first edition. Um, An action point, same. Saving throws are the same. Traits, ooze. While squeezing, the ooze moves at full speed rather than half speed. It doesn't take the -5 penalty to attack rolls, and it doesn't grant combat advantage for squeezing. That's really good if you are in a dynamic environment with lots of small places
Hmm.
to go. And it's
Hmm.
also very different from anything any gelatinous cube was able to do before. Because remember, we just talked about how if you just put a 1 foot wall around something, you've trapped it because it cannot change its shape to smooth under something,
That's right.
right? But here it can squeeze, which means it can occupy temporarily a space that is smaller than its size as long as it's moving through that space, right? And it doesn't take any of the penalties that a normal individual doing that would take.
So it's immune to the blinded condition because it is blind and relies on
Hmm.
blind sight.
Right.
That's a little bit of a clarification.
Hmm.
It's lost 5 points of acid resistance,
Yep.
and it's gained a little bit of damage output on the slam, a fairly marginal amount of
Right.
damage output, and
Yeah, what
then
was it before? It was 2d6
2d6
plus
plus
2.
2, just
Yeah.
gained 7 points of damage output. So that's not nothing, considering how
Because
many
it's the same
chances it's
level.
going to get.
Yeah.
Right, because it hasn't changed level. That's right.
Right.
And then its engulf is really essentially unchanged. But I mean, as we kind of keep saying, that's actually a loop that works and doesn't need to go anywhere. That is its
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's its thing.
like
Yep.
if you don't have it do more or less that, you're the one who's lost the plot. Um,
Right.
now,
Right.
daze is of course a conceptual big step down from paralysis, where like
Hmm.
it's really a question of whether you can do anything for yourself once you're trapped. In
Right.
editions before fourth, the answer is no. Your allies save you or you don't get saved.
Right.
Those are the two
Right.
outcomes.
Yeah.
And here you could survive by,
Hmm.
you know, pulling off an escape using your one action as part of, while you're dazed.
Right. Right. Well, just like 3E made certain decisions in order to push the game in a different direction than it had
Yeah,
been before,
yeah,
fourth edition did something similar in terms of getting rid of that paralysis state, right?
yep.
And making it, turning it into something else, and in this case, dazed. And I think actually dazed is an appropriate level for a level 5 gelatinous cube,
Sure.
right? I think if I was going to sort of convert this up and make a much higher level cube, I would probably adjust that maybe into something different, maybe not dazed, but maybe something more detrimental. I do like the trait, the ooze trait, because I feel like that at least gives some kind of interest to what you can be doing with this thing.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the previous entry did not have that, and that was the same edition of the game, but it didn't have that particular
Yeah.
um,
Uh,
you know, so that actually adds a little bit enough interest to actually make this a less underwhelming kind of thing, in
I
my
do want to
opinion.
get in one stupid joke. Sorry, everyone.
Sure.
I do wish that instead of calling it the ooze trait, I wish they'd called it extruder alert.
Yeah,
Thank you for
that's
laughing
good.
at my stupid joke.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you.
I love stupid jokes.
But like I agree with you very much that the ooze trait here really does start to suggest like complex tactical usage
Hmm.
where the DM can really get in some surprise, and I'm into that.
Yeah, and all of the oozes, so the black puddings and the ochre jellies and the green slime all have that,
Yeah.
which makes sense because it's a trait, but I was just checking. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
so no,
like
I like that. Yeah.
one of like any of these dripping down through a hole in the
Hmm.
ceiling on you is
Right.
just the worst thing that can happen, and I love it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and people would expect that from a green slime.
Yeah.
They wouldn't necessarily expect it from a gelatinous cube, which is what would make this interesting, right? Now
Yeah.
that's kind of a shtick, right? Like you could probably only do it once, right? But that's actually also true of green slime, right?
Oh,
You're
I
probably
mean,
only going to do it once in a
you say you
while,
can only
right?
do it once, or you make it a whole dungeon level
Well,
thing.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But but
Like, yeah,
that's
yeah,
the shtick. But that's why I say it's a shtick, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
you're not going to do it everywhere in every game in every
Oh
dungeon that they
no,
ever go into,
God,
right?
so
Yeah,
repetitive. Yeah, yeah,
right, right,
agreed.
right. So yeah, so this is an improvement on the other fourth edition listing. But yeah, so I actually well, that's not fair to say. I was gonna say I like this better than the third edition version, but the thing is, I never played the third edition version, so that's kind of an unfair uh, analysis.
I mean, they are trying to deliver the same concept,
Mhm,
uh, and to the point about paralysis, like it really is just that they tried to get their conditions stripped down as far as they
mhm,
would go, and
right,
didn't reintroduce paralysis to
right,
make this one creature work.
mhm,
So,
yeah, yep. Well, I mean, they have immobilized,
yeah,
which is not the same as paralysis, but I see where they're going, and you can actually see the through line of what they were going for,
yeah,
and I do think that the notes get hit here pretty well.
yep,
So ready for fifth edition?
sure am. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, here is the 2014 fifth edition entry.
Yeah,
Is there any? Oh, so here's the lore. Gelatinous cubes scour dungeon passages in silent, predictable patterns, leaving perfectly clean paths in their wake. Oh, predictable patterns. That's new.
yeah.
They consume living tissue while leaving bones and other materials undissolved. They're all but transparent, making it hard to spot until it attacks. A cube that is well fed can be easier to spot since its bones, the victim's bones, coins, and other objects can be suspended inside. Okay, all right. So, large ooze, unaligned, armor class 6, hit points 84, 15-foot speed, immune to blind, charm, deafen, exhaustion, frightened, and prone. It has blind sight, very similar to the 4E challenge rating 2. The cube takes up its entire space. Other creatures can enter the space, but a creature that does so is subjected to the cube's engulf and has disadvantage on the saving throw. Creatures inside the cube can be seen but have total cover.
So
A
that's a
creature
super
within
interesting one. I
that
would call
that's
that
I
out.
like that. Yeah, let's
That's a
talk about
huge
that.
deal
Yeah.
because that means that you can go all out against the gelatinous
Yeah.
cube without hurting any allies that have been engulfed. They're
Right.
being very clear about that the way
Mm-hmm.
previous
Yep.
editions were not.
Right. Yep.
It was
Yep.
is ambiguous up to this point right here,
Mm-hmm. Right.
whether
Yeah.
fireballing a gelatinous
It
cube
was
hurts your buddy.
yeah, it was ambiguous to the point of DM fiat, right? It was up to the
Yep,
DM.
yep.
Yep.
Um, and I is it that I don't have room for DM fiat in my life? I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely do,
Sure.
but I do think this is a good call for just that's a high stakes question in any fight
Mm-hmm.
scene,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. And they further specify the conditions here. A creature within 5 feet can take an action to pull a creature or object out of the cube. Doing so requires a successful DC 12 strength check, and the creature making the attempt takes 10 acid damage, or 3d6. The cube can hold only one large creature or up to four medium or smaller creatures inside of it at a time. So it tells you you can attack it without worrying about hitting your buddy, and while three of you are attacking it, the fourth PC can run up, and try to grab the fifth PC out of there as long as they're willing to take a little bit of damage to try to do that. Right? It's risky, but you can do it. I like that they spell that out. That's appropriate for fifth edition.
Yes, so like it is, I guess, worth noting that we've never seen a version of the gelatinous cube that is quite as much of a hog in column inches as this bad boy is.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
chewing up some space.
we also really haven't seen one with an actual pseudopod attack
Mm.
like
Yeah,
this one has.
it was a little shaky on what their attack was.
Well,
And
their attack is just the engulf, right?
no,
What did it
no, no,
say in
no,
4E?
no, no, slam.
Oh yeah, the slam. That's right. So fourth
And
edition technically would be a pseudopod too then, technically speaking. It would
maybe,
have to be.
yeah,
It would have to
like,
be. What else is
or
there?
or it's leaning at
Or
you
it
hard, man. I don't know.
because the thing is its speed is so slow, but I guess if you were
Right?
standing there, well, then it would
Yeah,
just try to engulf you though. So
I would
slam,
assume.
yeah, I would
Except
assume.
that slam, that icon means it can use it for opportunity attacks.
Right. So let's
Uh,
see.
so this has
This
um,
has slam as well.
slam.
So
Yeah,
third edition had slam. So second edition,
big
no.
city slams. That's what I'm hearing. So that two
Uh,
d eight, so that 2 to 8, right?
that 2 to 8, that's the engulfing paralysis
It,
acid pain.
mm,
Yeah, combat. A gelatinous cube attacks by touching its victim, which is with its anesthetizing slime. The
yeah.
victim who fails to save versus paralyzation is paralyzed for 5 to 20 rounds. The cube then surrounds its prey and secretes digestive fluids. Yeah, so that implies it actually can reach out something and touch you.
So, right, and it's just a little shaky on when the 2 to 8 damage happens, right?
Hmm.
Because that's actually not part of that combat
Yeah,
loop in
that's
a
not, but
real clear way. Only in that
um,
last line where it is halved is it clearer.
right. But so in the previous, let's look at 1E though, because in
Uh-huh.
1E it's very specific about telling you, or maybe it's
If
before
it
that.
touches, hits an opponent,
Right.
right? And its
2 to 8
damage is still
damage.
2 to 8, right?
Right.
So
So it has to make an attack roll there.
yeah, it has to make an attack roll. Then you're
Let's look up
anesthetized,
here.
right?
Right. In Beckme, any
And a
successful hit
successful
will do
hit.
damage to the victim and will paralyze him unless a saving throw is made. Huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah, interesting. Because I never ever, like ever in my life, and as a biologist, of course I understand pseudopods. I never think of this as a pseudopod. I never ever think of it as a pseudopod attack. I
I
do for other oozes, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Other oozes I totally do.
Oh, much more clearly with other oozes, the art always is
Right.
suggesting a slurping little pseudopod lashing
Yeah.
out at you.
And here, though they usually eat carrion and they will attack any living creature they encounter, inflicting 2d4 points of damage. On each successful hit will paralyze the victim. So again, that's BX. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So
So
this deep
third
read
edition
has
makes it
played with your
right.
played with your perception. Okay, fun.
Right. So the thing is like the so in third edition they initial this is the first time they really call it a slam attack because in
Hmm.
second edition again it doesn't really make it clear.
Right.
It just says it attacks by touching its victim. See, I always took that and same with 1E and all the previous. I took that as it's going to rub up against you or if you accidentally rub up against it because you're walking along and you don't see it, right? And then it gets a chance to attack you and paralyze you, and then it will engulf you once you're paralyzed. I never ever imagined it as a pseudopod.
Uh-huh.
And because I never played third edition, so I didn't pay attention to the slam attack. But yeah, fourth edition, it actually has a slam attack, which I also never paid attention to that. I never played gelatinous cubes with like a pseudopod attacking. That's
Sure.
hilarious. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Funny.
All right. So th I guess one other notable thing here is that the pseudopod has picked up some relative damage, but oddly to me, its strength and dex both aren't applied to damage in any way.
Hmm.
That's actually
Right.
very unusual in 5e attack design.
Yeah.
That no
But
ability score adjusts its attack damage.
right. But it actually does mesh with the concept of the gelatinous cube from all the previous editions,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
that you're getting hit with acid damage.
yeah. So, are we ready to have me talk about some 2024?
Yeah. So let's talk about 2024. So for the
I,
audience's sake, I don't have the 2024 monster manual, so
yeah.
Brandis is
Uh,
the knowledge expert on this one.
So, I just recorded an episode for the Tome Show with Jeff, Tracy, and Jared about this section of the 2024 Monster Manual.
Right.
So
Okay, so I really like the art of this one, but it makes it seem so huge.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you don't have a like you're a little shaky on scale in
Hmm.
what you're seeing inside it, but it is pretty
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
It's not especially transparent. It's going to be pretty easy to see because it's
Right.
got sort of that green underglow situation
Yep. Yep.
that is cool and does remind me very much of the gelatinous cube and onward, you know,
Right.
Pixar's D&D campaign.
Yeah. Right, right.
I I do love that movie.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
wonderful
great.
movie.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Um,
Um, so I think though there's also the issue of if you don't make the gelatinous cube, if you make the gelatinous cube completely transparent in the art, then it's nonsensical, right? It's the
it,
same way. It's the same reason why
Invisible Stalker, baby.
it's right. It's hard to do an invisible stalker. You know the invisible stalker art for 1E. Have you seen it?
I've certainly seen it for 2E. It,
Yeah, it's just
it's about like the lyric sheet for 4 minutes and 33 seconds.
I mean, it's like nothing. So, uh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
part of the reason why it has the green sort of underglow is because that makes cool art and
Oh,
you can
for
actually
sure.
see it, right?
I'm not confused about
Um,
that at all.
but no, I know. But I'm just saying, like for the audience, as much as I love this image, it really messes with the scale that I think of with the gelatinous cube, and
Yeah.
it's not transparent enough for me because
Yeah.
you're right. Nobody would walk into this accidentally because it's really obvious.
Yeah.
But the art
Um,
is just so damn.
it's really really sick. So pretty minimal changes here, except that it's lost a bunch of hit points.
Mm.
Um,
Oh yeah, quite a few.
and
Wow.
yeah, like that's kind of the call they made. And uh, it's picked up 2 points of damage in the pseudopod by applying its strength bonus to damage.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think there's I'm not doing a side by side because it's a lot, but I think there's some language change and presentation change going on in the engulf action.
Okay.
Um, but the overall effect is still about the same.
Yep.
And I mean, as I was saying a moment ago, engulf just chews up so many column inches. And I really like that they strengthen and clarify what it takes to extract someone from a gelatinous cube over an ooze
Right.
cube. I think that's
Hmm.
a great bit. And the puller takes uh, acid damage because you have to be in contact
Right.
with the thing to
Right.
do that.
That's the same
Um,
as in 2014 though.
oh, is that the same? Okay, I missed that
Yeah, yeah,
before.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that's what
It's
I
a
was saying
good
is that
bit.
they really spelled that out and made it very obvious that your other comrades can attack the cube without worrying about hitting
Yeah,
the friendly that's inside, but
yeah.
one of them could walk up to the cube and reach their arm in to try to pull their friend out. But
That's
that's risky because they're gonna take damage.
yeah, that's really good. That's really
Yeah.
good. Um, and for a CR2, if it's able to land its attack like once, and
Right.
then if it engulf one time, and then
Hmm.
you have to take damage to extract something,
Right.
like that's that's starting
That's
to
the
get
scene.
somewhere with
Yeah,
its
yeah. That's
with
yeah.
its whole loop and
Yep.
expected damage output. I really like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the scare the hell out of the PCs, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's a thing. That's perfect for CR2. You're not doing this to, level 7 PCs, right? Like you might,
yeah, yeah.
but it's
Well,
it's
like
probably not going to have the same
yeah,
effect,
not with
you
this
know.
stat block, but
Not with this stat block.
if
Yeah.
you goose the numbers, you've
Sure.
actually still got something really valid. So that's
Right.
pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just mean in terms of
Oh, yeah, yeah, I agree with you.
this is not meant to be this particular stat block is not meant to be something that, is a dangerous foe in perpetuity, right?
Yeah,
This is
for sure.
very specifically at a specific CR and it matches that CR and the idea of when the party might run into this, right?
Yeah, for sure. But oh, the other great thing that 2024 has to offer, um, so 2024 goes really light on lore on all of its monsters, and
Hmm.
that's a
Okay.
thing. It's a huge source of disappointment for all of us in
Yeah.
every episode of the Tome Show
Hmm.
review. The D6 table of gelatinous cube debris, however, that packs some punch, and I really dig it. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
so I'm just
Cool.
going to read those to you because I think you will like them. I think they're going to
Yes.
speak to you in terms of like situation starting bits. Um, so the first one is a chest or a recently trapped mimic. And so in the episode we talked about this and realized, yeah, the mimic is actually immune to acid. They can just chill.
Nice.
That's a really nice double
Right.
encounter.
That's cool. Yeah.
Um, uh, to a collection of bubbles or rocks resembling eyes.
Ooh,
Okay, interesting.
nice. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's that's adding a real nice visual. Um, a key to a nearby door or coffer. Well, okay, you've made me care about killing that thing. That's for sure. Um, a remarkable weapon in need of repair. Again, that'll do it.
Yep.
Um, a skeleton belonging to a famous adventurer. Okay, you that's good narrative right there.
Right.
And finally, a tablet bearing a mysterious message. I'm gonna go for
Oh,
the
interesting.
text prop every time, guys. Loving the
Yeah,
text prop.
that's really cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. There's there is one other thing. I actually I because of course I've been editing the episode, so I have been listening to
Yeah,
when you all mention, oh, well, the lore, whatever, but it has this cool table. Like, I love that. That is
yeah,
right up my alley.
it,
That is, yeah, that
yeah.
is
It's
useful
really
beyond
cooking.
measure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one other thing I want to point out about this 2024 entry though.
Okay.
Under the engulf
Yeah.
at the bottom. Um, so basically, an engulfed target can try to escape by taking an action. On a successful check, the target escapes and enters the nearest unoccupied space. Okay?
Yep.
Then it further clarifies down here, right? It says, on a success, this is the save success, right? Half damage, and the target moves to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the cube. And then this rider. If there is no unoccupied space, the target fails the save instead. And the reason I point that out is because that is not in the 2024 entry. And it also uh, sort of
The
harkens back to what we were talking. Oh, what?
you said it's not in the 2024 entry. You mean it's not in the
Sorry,
2014?
I mean, it's not in
J
the
j
2014
yeah.
entry. So
Yeah.
the 2014 entry just says you can try to escape on a successful strength check. You escape and enter a space of your choice within 5 feet of the cube, right? It doesn't point out that what this does, which is if there is no unoccupied space within 5 feet, then you fail the save instead, right? You basically you're you failed your dexterity save,
Hmm.
so you're now engulfed, right? You take the acid damage and you're stuck, right? Um, and the reason I point that out is because earlier we talked about how, well, the cube might like a place where they have walls on three sides. So the
Yeah.
cube
Yeah.
could go to a place where you really can't get out. What if it put itself down a 10-foot pit? How do you get out? I mean, you could probably go to the top, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's an
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting, it's an interesting thing to think about. If there really is no unoccupied space, you're stuck.
That is super true. A DC 12 deck save is not that hard to beat, but
Yeah.
I if if you have gotten kind of farmed into a corner, sorry, bud.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, and that's a really nice piece of handling to include. S- you don't see that very much in D&D, right?
Right.
A situation where the rest of the like terrain and just situation forces a failed save.
Right. Yeah, that's not common at all. Yeah, very interesting.
All right.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of Gelatinous Cube.
I feel like this is a situation where the game knew from its first appearance that it had something iconic and didn't need to tinker with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because basically in all of these iterations that we've looked at, even the ones, that are in my mind tiny bit underwhelming,
Yeah.
they still do the thing that this creature is known for, and they can still be formidable. Because the other thing is, yeah, the underwhelming level 5 elite brute in 4E in the original 4E monster manual. That thing's not going to be by itself though.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you give enough other things for the party to be having to deal with, this thing might actually be, you know, making some very cool moves, and
Right.
be very scary.
And if you're doing things that hit the party with slows or with immobilizes, you can
Right.
really get nasty
Yep.
with just, you know, uh, combining to be brutal. It's great.
Yep. 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 All right. Well, any final thoughts on that?
Uh, no, I think I have said what I came to say, and this is a great choice that you put on our list. I really like it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, obviously. I mean, I'm a, old school dungeon crawler. I still love running that kind of game. It's not my only thing that I do, but I still find the very fun pieces of it that have some interest. And the cube is just, it's one of those creatures that everyone has heard of, but maybe not everybody has interacted with one or run into one in their game. And it's always good for a open moment, and sometimes you just want an open moment. So having said that, sir, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Blue Sky, where I'm brandishstoddard.bsky.social. You can find me on the Tome Show Discord. You can find me on my blog, brandishstoddard.com, and my Patreon is Brandis Stoddard.
Excellent. You can find me on rpgmusings.com. You can also find me all over the Tome Show Discord, and you can find me on Blue Sky at DM Samuel at Dice Talk Camp. And I'm kind of on social media very rarely these days, but if you ping me, I'll get a message, and I'll come back and try to respond to you. The best way to get a hold of me is probably just go over to the Tome Show Discord and ping me there, and I will show up at some point and discuss things with you. Yeah. Well, I think that means it is adios.